Welcome back to our series on tarping. The last time we did this, we did a full truckload of OSB. We tarped it, we untarped it. Hopefully you've watched all of those videos. If not, go back and review them. But one of the other common situations that pops up is that you have a load that's shorter than what your tarp is. So you've got a bunch of excess tarp hanging off the back end or possibly off the front end, but almost always it's going to be easier to use the flap of your tarp to cover up the front end and then deal with the excess on the back end of the load. So I'll show you a quick and easy technique that works on a variety of different loads, and stay tuned, we're going to show this on some different loads as time goes by. So here we've got a piece of cargo that we've got the front of it tarp, and the tarp is too long for the load. So we've got the excess hanging off the back end, we got the rest of the load all tarped up, and we're ready to deal with the back end. So the first thing you need to do is get your vertical tarp here at the back end of the load as close to the load as you can get it. And sometimes you can do that from the ground. Or sometimes you can do it from up on the trailer and use your feet to push it ahead. Support yourself on the top of the load, give a little jump and use your feet to push it ahead. You want it up against the load, but you want it to the point where when you strap the tarp down, it's actually going to put tension on the tarp at the end of the load. Okay, now we got to do our next step down at the side. The tuck that you've been doing in the side of your tarp, however you've been folding your tarp as you come down the side of the load, you want to kind of continue that out past the end of the load and try to form a wing that's going to go across. We're basically gift wrapping the back of this load. So we want to form that 45-degree angle wing that's going to go across the end, and try to find a D-ring that you can end that wing in so that you've got something to hook a bungee into and go across to the other side of the trailer. But then your fold that you've been doing, your tuck, try to get that to be the same out here in the wing, so that when you take the wing around the corner, it's neat here at the corner of the load. It'll seal up good for you. Now we got to do the same thing to the other side. Same thing on the other side. This is going to vary depending on what kind of piece of cargo that you're tarping, how tall it is, if it's narrow or wide. But find that spot where you can create a wing that will go across the end of the load, and then get your side tuck done and get it headed across and start putting your tarp up onto the trailer. So now we need to deal with the tarp that's on the trailer here, and we have to start with one side and get it all flattened out, and then bring the other side over the top of it so it rolls up nice at the end. So we've got one side folded over, and notice it's a little bit narrower than the trailer, and we've got it stretched all the way across. I know it's a temptation to bunch the tarp up on the side of the trailer and bunch the tarp up on this side of the trailer, but if you get it flattened out, then when you roll it up, the cigar that you make across the back is going to be nice and uniform, and it'll strap down nice. So a little bit extra time at this point is well invested. So once we've got the one side flattened out, then we can bring the other side up. Same thing, get it flat and a little bit narrower than the trailer. And it's always going to be a little bit messy here at the back end of the load. So you got to work with this and try to make the transition from the wing out into your flat as quickly as you can, but that'll get smooshed down at the end. So now we can start taking our wings and stitching them in against each other. So you want to have some bungees staged up and ready to go. This rolled up against the back of the load so that we can tie it down, strap it down. But it's hard to take something that's 7 feet wide and start rolling it. However, if you take the corners and fold them in at a 45-degree angle, almost like you're making a paper airplane, once you get those folds made, then you've got a point that you can start rolling from. And as you roll it, it'll pick up the rest of that fabric. And before you know it, you're up against the back of the load and you can strap it down. So once you get that rolled up against the back end of your tarp, then it's time to strap it down. And you can use a 2-inch strap, a 4-inch strap. You could even use a chain if you had to. But right here, I don't have any winches that are left over that are serviceable. Somebody's let this one get up against a tire and bent it, so it's not usable. So I'm going to use a 2-inch strap in this situation. But you want to be careful with the placement of your strap. You don't want your strap to be down too low. Your roll could come out over the top. You don't want your strap placement to be up too high. The roll could slip out from underneath. And I know some of you might be tempted to put a piece of wood across there. That's asking for trouble. If that wood slips out from underneath the strap, it could fall off on the road. Or a lot of times, because of the softness of the tarp, you'll actually snap the piece of wood and then you got 2 pieces that fall off on the road. So it's best to just strap it down with the strap, and if you get that cigar rolled up correctly, it'll strap down nice and secure. So now you can see that the strap has smashed that down into the corner, so it's going to be nice and secure, and it's putting tension on the vertical tarp here so that the aerodynamic suction that's coming past the back end of your load doesn't pull that tarp out of there and make it flap in the wind. Like I said, this is adaptable to a lot of different sizes and shapes of loads, so we'll show some more examples of that in the future, but it's the same basic process, it just looks a little different shape.